Okay, this is the first part of 4 different elements that we will learn on painting landscape. This series is compliments of Steve Mitchell. This first grouping will be a series of clouds. The intent is for the clouds to be painted quickly and not the focal point of the painting. Remember to practice each example that I paint in the sky series. The sky is always darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. Clouds closest to you are larger and then smaller, and narrower as they recede. Watercolor, when painted, will dry 20% lighter, and when it's wet, when I'm doing a wet on wet, it may dry 30%. Cloud examples 1 and 2 are for paintings with a small amount of sky. And then cloud examples 3 and 4 are paintings with larger skies. The supplies to be used will be our number 4 round, your color puller brush to pull out your color onto your palette, ultramarine blue, Payne's gray, I may be using neutral tint, a spray bottle for certain ones of these 4 paintings, a paper towel. I'll be painting on Arches Rough 140 pound, and each of these 4 different sky examples are about 4 inches by 6.5. So for this, first it will be a wet on wet. The first wash of clear water I will let go all over the whole size of the painting, and I'll let it soak in. The second wash I'm going to put on after the first has soaked in, and it should sparkle. The paper should sparkle, and that would be how wet I want it. So I'm going in with a dirty brush. Let's see, is this clean yet? No. Trying to get that number 14 to clean up for me. Try it again. Okay, we now have a clean brush and clear water. So I've just wet it all over, and I'm going to let it soak in a little bit so it's not as shiny. This is how much paint I've mixed out. So I pulled out the ultramarine. This is neutral tint, but Payne's gray is fine. I'm gonna moisten each a little bit with a drop of water. If your water goes out onto your tape or onto your board, it's always a good idea to get the excess water off the tape or the board you have your paper taped to, just so you don't get cauliflowers or anything like that. So I can see it's drying at the edges. It's still kind of shiny. Still waiting for that to lose some of the sparkle. Sometimes people ask, how do I get up pieces of hair or something on my paper? I do use the eradicator, and you can try to pick it up with the eradicator brush. Okay, I'm going to call that not sparkly anymore. And I'm going to wet it again. Some people call this priming the paper. Breaks up a little bit of the sizing that's on the paper. So right there, I just used my brush to move a hair. You have to take that off the brush too. So I'm just checking. Yep, it's good. So I want a nice sparkle. And now I'm going to go in to the mix of ultramarine blue and some of the neutral tick with still that 14 size brush. And we're just going to go on diagonals. And the white sections will be clouds. I'm going to go into just some plain ultramarine now because I do want it a little bit lighter at the bottom. You can go back in with a little more. I'm going to go in with a little more of a darker mix of the ultramarine and the Payne's or neutral tint because I do want it to be darker at the top. If you can't get it off, this is nice to do when it's nice and wet. But you can see how it's diffusing nicely, and then we're just going to let that dry. And it's, as you can tell, on a flat surface.